Hey everybody, it's Latrice Richards here. I am the Clinical Integration Coordinator for the OCP3 program over at Broward Behavioral Health Coalition. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know that things have been very crazy here lately with the COVID-19 outbreak, and I appreciate all of your diligence in terms of continuing to serve the youth and families of Broward County. As many of you already know, today is OCP3 Kickoff Day. It's not as exciting as we would have liked for it to be, but we're kicking it off nonetheless. And so I wanted to reach out to you all and do a quick video to give you some information about the actual OCP3 referral process, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump on in. If you have any questions, make sure you write those questions down and email them to me as soon as you get an opportunity to do that, because I wanna make sure that you have a clear understanding of what needs to happen here, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So the OCP3 referral process begins with youth identification. Although anyone can identify a youth who may be a good fit for OCP3, only the tip and wraparound trained school social workers and child advocates are able to actually make referrals, all right? But anyone can identify a youth for the program. We especially want to be paying attention to those who are considered natural supports and or individuals who are really close with the youth and understand what their needs are. This can be the youth, the young person themselves, teachers, school social workers, parents, case managers, child advocates, and administrators. We want to make sure that we are listening to the people who are engaged with this youth to understand what services they believe are needed for the youth. And we want to make sure that we consider this youth for OCP3 inclusion um, right from the very beginning, okay? Again, like I said, only the tip and wraparound trained school social workers and child advocates are able to make referrals, but it is important that your entire organization be aware of OCP3 and its services so that they can participate in youth identification and work towards funneling those cases toward an individual who has been identified as capable of submitting a referral. All right. Once the youth is identified, then we're going to move into the OCP3 tip wraparound trained school social workers and child advocates need to then engage with the youth in order to understand what his, her, or their needs are and assess for a goodness of fit for the OCP3 program. We recommend that you have at least 2 to 3 contacts with the youth, but that is definitely up to you. But the purpose of this is really to use this time to build rapport, introduce the youth to OCP3, and gauge their eligibility for participation as well as their interest in the OCP3 program. If you believe that the youth can benefit from OCP3, but that they do not meet the criteria, then you just shoot me an email and we'll discuss it on a case by case basis. Sometimes you may have a situation where a youth is just short of the age limit, or you may have a youth that does not currently reside in Broward, but they will be residing in Broward within a reasonable amount of time. Things like that, technically those youth will not be eligible for OCP3, but if you really feel like they would benefit from the program and you want to see if we can work something out, just shoot me an email before submitting the referral and let me know. We can talk about it and I'll let you know how to move forward from there. However, if you determine that the youth meets all of the criteria for OCP3 services, you're going to complete the referral form via the Cognito link, which is listed in the email that you also received this video in, and make sure that you upload the documentation supporting their mental health diagnosis or risk of diagnosis and the consent to release of information form to BBHC. Now, this form, the consent to release, it's any agency-specific form that you use. Whatever form you use to release information to any other entity that you partner with, that's the same form that you're going to use to release information specifically to the OCP3 program at BBHC and providers, okay? The referral is either going to be accepted or not accepted for entry into the OCP3 program by myself, the Clinical Integration Coordinator. Remember, only tip or wraparound trained school social workers and child advocates can submit referrals for OCP3. And it's important that we stress this because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of understanding this. Anybody can identify a youth for the program or a youth that might benefit from the program, but only those identified by those organizations and by the program itself can actually submit the referral. So we need to make sure that we have that funnel system in place. If the status of the referral is not accepted, which there's a few different reasons why the status might not be accepted. Maybe you didn't call me before you submitted the referral, and there's not the age does not meet, or the residency does not meet. Maybe they have a mental health diagnosis that is a rule out. Like for example, anything on the autism spectrum is going to be a rule out for OCP3. Whatever reason it is that the status is considered not accepted, you will receive a OCP3 disposition notice. Now, the reality is that you're going to get this disposition notice no matter if they're accepted or not accepted. The disposition notice is really just to let you know what has happened with the referral that you submitted. So it's really to kind of close that loop, to make sure that you stay in the loop on what's happening with the case. So I'm going to determine if the referral is accepted or not accepted. Each referral that we receive, no matter what the disposition is going to be assigned a OCP3 PIN number, or also known as the OCP3 participant identification number. And you want to make sure that you document that PIN number because it's going to be how we identify the youth moving forward in an effort to protect their personal information. Okay, the referral source is going to receive a PDF copy of the disposition notice via email in order to keep you in the loop on what's going on. And the disposition notice is going to let you know why that youth was not accepted into the program. And we're also going to provide a few suggestions for alternative resources for the youth so that you can make a secondary referral. Just because that youth did not get accepted into the OCP3 program does not mean that you cannot refer them into individual services offered by other program or excuse me, other providers in the community. So any of the services that are being offered through OCP3, i.e. peer support, MRT, housing support, education support, employment support, etc., any of those programs can be referred to on an individual basis outside of the OCP3 program, and we fully expect that you will make those referrals as you see fit. The youth still needs services, and so you have a responsibility to link that youth to the services that they need. Just because it's not coming through OCP3 does not mean that you don't still have access to that for your youth and young people. All right. We strongly encourage you to continue to engage with the youth and their service providers, just as you would if they were an OCP3 youth. And we're going to talk more about that. But just because that youth is not a part of OCP3 does not mean that you just can, that you just don't have to continue to be a part of their team. You want to make sure that you continue to engage that youth and that family and be of service, be a part of that support network as much as you can. If the youth is accepted into the OCP3 program, the first step is that a provider will be assigned. So we have a list of providers that we work with. I'm going to, again, complete that OCP3 disposition notice. I'm going to send a copy to the referral source, and I'm also going to send a copy to the provider that has been assigned, along with all of the supporting documentation that you uploaded in the original referral. Okay. The disposition notice for an accepted participant is going to also show the OCP3 PIN number, and it's going to show the name of the provider that the youth was referred to. Okay. Once that youth is assigned to a provider, the provider is then going to assign a tip and or wraparound facilitator, which is usually a life coach, to that youth. Okay. And so the provider assigned is going to receive this information as well. And he, she, or they have the responsibility to reach out to the original referral source, which in this case is the school social worker or child advocate that submitted the referral, in order to schedule the hot handoff. Now, I'm going to go into more detail in just a minute about what the hot handoff is, but for the purposes of this slide in particular, I want you to know that the hot handoff is similar to a warm handoff, which we're all familiar with, but the referral source in a hot handoff stays involved instead of just closing the case, okay? And I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. You're also going to, the purpose of the hot handoff is to introduce the youth to the facilitator and give them the opportunity to accept OCP3 services. Once the hot handoff is done with, the youth says, yes, I want to do this program, then the tip or wraparound facilitator is going to schedule the intake session following the hot handoff. The youth is not officially enrolled until the facilitator completes the intake session. Okay, the youth is not officially enrolled in the OCP3 program until the tip or wraparound facilitator completes the intake session and any paperwork that needs to be done in order to formally enroll the youth in the OCP3 program. All right. Once that happens, then the facilitator is going to complete the OCP3 enrollment notice. The enrollment notice comes to me, and it basically just says, hey, I met with this youth. The youth signed all of the necessary documentation. They have accepted and enrolled in the program. This is when I met with the tip and wraparound trained school social worker or child advocate for the hot handoff. It took place on this day at this time. It's a super, super quick and easy form that the facilitators are going to fill out just to let us know that this has taken place and the youth is officially a part of the OCP3 program. Once the tip and wraparound facilitator completes the enrollment notice during the intake session, they're also going to complete the consent to contact for evaluation form, okay, during that same session, but after enrollment has taken place, all right? The tip or wraparound facilitator is going to complete this form with the youth and the caregiver when applicable during the intake session, but after the enrollment has taken place. The official title of the form, just for good measure, is the Orientation to the One Community Partnership 3 OCP3 Evaluation Study Consent Form. This form basically gives us permission to contact the youth and the family for the evaluation piece of the program, which is extremely, extremely important because that is how we justify our funding for the program, okay? So no further involvement is needed regarding the evaluation once we get that taken care of. And again, that is the responsibility of the facilitator, not the referral source, okay? But I put that in there because I want to make you all aware of how we'll be moving forward in terms of the referral process. And then finally, let's talk about the hot handoff. We are super excited about the hot handoff. Like I said, the hot handoff is similar to a warm handoff that we're all familiar with, except this time you, the referral source, are preparing yourself to be a planning partner. Okay, so the hot handoff is really your opportunity to cement yourself as a part of the planning team for each of these youth and young people that we're going to be working with. Traditionally, we make a warm handoff, we close the case, we move on, maybe we check in 3 months later, 6 months later, something like that. But with the OCP3 program, we are trying to change that. We're trying to turn that around as much as possible. We want you to be a part of the youth's planning team in terms of helping him, her, or they get their lives together, and really manifest all of the goals that they identify for themselves. So the hot handoff is initiated by the TIPA wraparound facilitator following the initial receipt of the referral, right? So this is before the intake session. This is a part of the handoff process, okay? This includes the hot handoff meeting is going to include the youth, of course, the referring staff, the provider agency staff, which is the TIP or wraparound facilitator that has been assigned to the youth from the provider agency, and any other natural supports that the youth desires. This can be a parent, this can be a close friend, this can be an aunt or an uncle, a grandparent, anybody that the youth seem or deems to be important enough for them to participate in their planning of their lives. Okay, it can be conducted via face-to-face methods, which is what we prefer. However, we know that that is not always going to be feasible, i.e., coronavirus, right? Or it can be conducted remotely via telephone or video conferencing. However, that meeting is conducted, what we ask is that it is documented by the facilitator on the OCP3 enrollment notice. Once again, this is not something that our referral sources need to necessarily be worried about or concerned with in terms of the reporting of this event taking place. But I definitely want you to do your due diligence and make sure that you stay on top of the reality or the fact that you need to be a part of this meeting in order for the hot handoff to be a hot handoff. The referral source has to be in attendance. And again, this is our attempt to make sure that we really bring you all into the fold, make you a part of the planning team, make you a part of the recovery of this youth. Because, at the end of the day, we all want for the youth to get to a place where him or her, or they can feel very proud of where they are, and be happy and live a fruitful life. Okay. If you have any questions, there we go. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email at lrichards@bbhcflorida.org. I definitely want to say thank you to each and every one of you again, just for being freaking awesome and amazing. You all, we haven't even really gotten started yet. Today is day one, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you all, continuing to grow and build with you all, and make an impact on the youth and families of Broward County. Don't forget to shoot me an email if you have any questions. I'm looking forward to hearing from you and working with you. Thank y'all so much, and be safe out there. Have a good one.